WNBA: How to Destroy Your Own League. For almost 3 decades, the WNBA has been a laughingstock and disgrace of a professional sports league that only survives due to NBA subsidies. A league that, if many of y'all saw having a game in your backyard, would call the police and report a crime in progress. If for some, a possible turning point for the sad existence of a league has arrived in the form of a basketball Messi. Caitlin Clark, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Caitlin Clark, the greatest and most popular female college basketball player of all time, has announced she'll be joining the WNBA this upcoming season. Some think she can do for the WNBA what Larry, Magic, or Jordan did for the NBA. There's no doubt Clark can ball and is exciting to watch. However, anyone who knows anything about the WNBA knows the league, its players, and the media that cover it will destroy this opportunity to grow around Clark. To be blunt, the WNBA's players don't want Caitlin Clark to succeed and will make it difficult for her to do so. You might be wondering why or thinking that's not true, but the reason is obvious, although many will shy away from saying it. That reason is that the WNBA is made up primarily of players who've been infected with the false ideas of modern feminism, which heavily focuses on issues related to race, sexuality, gender identity, and participating in the oppression Olympics. The players that have been infected with this ideology don't want Clark to be the face of the league and will do everything in their power to stop it from happening. The first problem Clark will face is that she will be a straight player in primarily LGBT-dominated league. Some of you may think this is nonsense and won't have any effect, but don't take it from me. Take it from former WNBA champion and number 3 overall draft pick Candis Wiggins, who claimed that 98% of the league is gay and that the toxic environment within the league affected her as a straight woman and made her retire early. Wiggins also said that from her first moment in the league, she was targeted and harassed because she was straight and a nationally popular figure. Many of the other players were jealous and consistently tried to hurt her. For many, the message sent to Wiggins was clear. Many NBA players didn't like Wiggins because she was a pretty good straight player garnering media attention, and they thought Wiggins didn't fit the mold of a player who rightly represented the league. We should take into account that Wiggins was in a relatively similar position to Clark. Wiggins was balling her senior year, winning a bunch of awards only to come into the league and instead of being built around, was torn down because of jealousy and hate. After Wiggins came out with these comments, the media didn't support her. Instead, they tried to tear down and diminish her by focusing on how the WNBA as a league was growing. Just so you know, Miss Wiggins, last year, 20,000 fans came to Game 5 for the Minnesota Lynx. That's up, actually 2 years in a row minus 20,000 fans at Game 5 in 2016. It was the most watched WNBA Finals in history. Viewership has gone up for the last 3 seasons. This is typical of the media in multiple ways. First, attacking anyone who has anything critical to say about the WNBA and using half-truths or straight-up lies to argue that the WNBA is doing great. This is the worst, for example, pointing to increased viewership numbers only over the past few years, saying things like most watched finals in 20 years, but the league has been around for 30 years. If you look at viewership numbers since the start of the league, you will see viewership is still down tremendously. But the league and the media will still try to create a positive narrative by saying things like how this year's finals had the highest viewership for a Game 3 in 18 years, without mentioning it was still over 200,000 viewers short of the Game 3 18 years ago, and one of the teams that played in that game. A game that got more views, folded, and doesn't even exist anymore. So just think how this ideologically blinded WNBA media and driven players will deal with Caitlin Clark when we've already seen how they dealt with and covered Wiggins. Except even worse for Caitlin Clark is that unlike Wiggins, in the minds of those who participate in the oppression Olympics, Clark bears the ultimate sin of being white. White devils, you're the classic devil we know. We've already seen this be a problem for other WNBA stars. For example, Sabrina Ionescu, of course, is the player who took Steph Curry to the wire in the three-point contest, which was probably the most exciting thing of that dumpster fire on All-Star Weekend. Like Clark, Sabrina was a dominant college player who won awards and consistently pulled in higher attendance numbers for her college game than the average WNBA game. Yet ever since she's been in the league, she's faced criticism from players and the media because she's white, with Emmy-nominated sportscasters straight up saying the reason people aren't rocking with Sabrina is that she leans into her white privilege and benefits from her whiteness and doesn't use it to uplift and amplify her black co-workers' voices in the WNBA. Then there were articles claiming that NBA 2K's decision to put Sabrina on the cover was based on race and not merit. If you go into the WNBA Reddit, you'll find many threads saying similar things. The WNBA's players made clear they feel the same way. This past year, Sabrina was ranked 6th by the fans and media among guards for All-Star voting and was ranked 19th by the players. The only plausible reason Sabrina was voted this low by the WNBA players is because they are resentful and jealous that a player who doesn't fit the typical WNBA mold was getting so much shine. Their jealousy was so strong they were willing to not have one of the most popular players participate in the All-Star game, which would have damaged their ratings. In other words, WNBA players are willing to destroy their league if mainstream audiences don't support the right type of players. Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark is not the right type of player because she doesn't fit the typical WNBA mold and will be taking attention away from players who do. Articles have already started to emerge that claim Clark's whiteness is the reason she has been elevated to superstar status instead of, the fact that she's a alleged college superstar who's scoring points at a level not seen since Pistol Pete and bringing in more fans to the women's game than ever before. Regardless, Clark has already started to be criticized by WNBA legends, the most prominent being Cheryl Swoops. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. So if Kelsey set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broken that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? I don't think so. But yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. While Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA and doing what she's doing right now, not. You are a hater. Not going to happen. Okay, Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game. I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't going to get 40 shots a game. Since everything Swoops just said is false, one has to wonder about the real reason behind her criticizing Clark, and there can only be one logical conclusion, that Swoops, like many in the WNBA, doesn't believe Clark should be the face of the league due to jealousy and strange ideological beliefs. However, one thing that Swoops said is true, and that's that a bunch of players who have been complaining about not getting paid enough for years will gladly destroy their best opportunity to realize that goal by not getting behind Caitlin Clark and allowing her to flourish by playing her game due to their jealousy and skewed beliefs. If fans do get behind Clark and she starts becoming the face of the league, the media very well might call her fans racist for not supporting the WNBA before Clark entered, basically doing everything in their power to push new potential fans away. So although no player in the history of the WNBA will enter the league with the mainstream notoriety and ability to grow the league to unseen levels as that of Caitlin Clark, the WNBA players and the media that cover them, even the die-hard fans, will certainly all but destroy this chance to take the WNBA to new heights. Those in and around the league subscribe to beliefs that simply don't allow them to build the WNBA around Caitlin Clark, but rather instead actually urge them to tear her down. Anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time, y'all.